If you look at your 20s and see nothing but bad choices, distractions, and missed opportunities, I am not here to pretend that did not happen. But I am here to show you how to turn those wasted years into the single biggest advantage of your 30s and beyond. You are not a failure because you started late. You are an asset because you already paid the tuition for the most valuable education life offers, learning what does not work. Every adversity brings with it the seed of an equivalent advantage. We are going to take the failures, fear, and indecision of the past decade and turn them into the raw materials for an unstoppable future starting right now. The man or woman who finds themselves in their late 20s, their 30s, or even their 50s, staring at a history of effort without results, feels a unique shame. You look at others who started earlier, who seem to have moved faster, and you feel a crushing sense of being behind schedule. You feel late. Good being. Late means you understand the hidden cost of wasted time, that awareness is the vital fuel you did not have at 20. At 20, time stretched out endlessly, a gift you took for granted, spending it on fleeting pleasures or indecisive drifting. You believed time was infinite, and that belief led to its casual disposal. Now, you feel the contraction of time, and that sense of urgency is the essential starting point for achievement. The first step to fixing the past is to realize that the raw, agonizing awareness of failure is the starting point of achievement. This knowledge, purchased through suffering, is the price you paid for your coming success. No great fortune was ever built without first understanding the cost of its absence. You must internalize this truth. The gravity of your past lack will now be used to accelerate your future movement. The very pressure of feeling behind is the necessary catalyst to bypass the lethargy that traps the ordinary man. Ignite the obsession. From shame to burning desire, I have studied thousands of men, the successes and the failures alike. The most common handicap that crippled the vast majority was not poverty, lack of schooling, or poor connections. It was a weak desire. They wished for riches, but they did not demand them. They hoped for success, but they did not allow the thought to become an obsession. They permitted their wishes to be casual, like a mild breeze, rather than a storm of directed force. A casual wish is merely a form of mental self-delusion, leading to inaction. The world is filled with wishers, but its treasures are reserved for those who possess definite, consuming obsessions. The universe responds not to need, but to the definite plan backed by an unshakable will. Riches do not respond to wishes. They respond only to definite plans backed by definite desires. Your wasted years provided the emotional energy necessary, the pain, the frustration, the shame to forge a burning desire. This is an obsession, the single starting point for all achievement. Weak desires bring only weak results. The intensity of your resolve must now compensate for the lapse of time. This fire must burn so brightly that it melts away all indecision and doubt. It must be an irresistible, white-hot fixation that crowds out every negative or limiting thought. This is the emotional equivalent of a declaration of war against mediocrity. If you are starting over or starting late, you do not have the luxury of casual hoping. You must harness the power of your past mistakes, the pain of your present condition, and use them to kindle a desire so strong that it consumes all doubt and indecision. This is the first of the 13 steps toward riches. Desire. It is the vital energy you lacked when you were 20, and you must treat it as your most precious commodity. Desire is the blueprint that the power of your subconscious mind will follow. It is the difference between being carried by the current of life and commanding the current itself. When desire is definite, it organizes the mind into a state of faith and begins the process of mental transmutation. Consider the story of Edwin C. Barnes. When he decided he wanted to partner with the great Thomas Edison, he had no money, little education, and no influential connections. He did not know Edison, nor did he have a job that would put him near Edison. What did he possess? a burning desire. He worked his way onto a train to New Jersey and presented himself not as a job seeker, but as a business partner. Edison, sensing the power of his desire, but seeing no immediate place for him, gave him a small, menial role. Barnes accepted this with patience and persistence because his desire was fixed. He did not lose sight of his definite chief aim for an instant. For 5 long years, he demonstrated his willingness to serve in preparation for his true aim. He did not complain, nor did he waver. It took him 5 years, but he eventually invented a strategy to market the Edison dictating machine, becoming Edison's partner and making a fortune. His unwavering thought turned a clerkship into a corporate partnership. He understood that preparation, even in the lowest position, is never wasted if the definite aim remains fixed. The sustained desire functioned as a sixth sense, alerting him to the exact moment opportunity presented itself. The lesson is this: Barnes' sustained desire preceded the opportunity. He did not wait for the opportunity to manifest the desire. He transmuted his vague wishing into a powerful, sustained obsession, and the universe rearranged itself to meet his command. The law is absolute. Sustained thought backed by emotion must materialize. The universe yields to the definite, energized command. The spiritual energy of a commanding desire creates a mental equivalent of the goal, which nature must eventually transmute into physical reality. Every object or result begins as an energy impulse in the mind. Desire is the act of giving that impulse, form, and intensity. You must do the same. If you feel hopeless, remember that hopelessness is nothing more than unchanneled emotional energy. It is your mind crying out for a definite purpose. You must give it that purpose, or it will continue to drift toward destruction. Indecision is the default setting for the unguided mind. Definite purpose is the upgrade you must install. The moment you define your purpose, you cease being a victim of circumstance and become a master of your destiny. Your past mistakes are merely proof that your mental effort was previously undirected. Now, that effort must be harnessed. I will give you the 6 practical steps for transmuting your vague desire for a better life into the goal of a burning desire. This is the definitive first step toward riches, and you will begin it today. Stop allowing the memory of wasted time to define your future. You will use that precise memory, that specific pain, as the fuel to forge a desire so definite, so intense, that it becomes an obsession. This is how you begin your comeback. Action steps. The 6 steps to riches. The first step toward riches. Fix the exact amount of compensation. Define precisely what you want. Do not say, I want more money. Say, I must possess $50,000 by the year 2027. Since you feel you wasted time, you must define the results you must achieve to feel caught up. This fixed amount becomes your definite chief aim, which is the rudder that guides your efforts. The human mind requires definite terms, not generalized wishes, to set its full power in motion. Vague goals produce only vague effort, which is precisely what led to the failures of the past decade. Failure to fix the amount is equivalent to boarding a train without specifying a destination. Commit to reciprocity. Determine exactly what service, skill, or commodity you intend to give in return for what you desire. The universe does not give something for nothing. Remember, success is acquired only by rendering useful service. What unique value will you create that solves a problem for others? This is the law of compensation in action. Your returns are proportional to your service. Analyze the market and determine the specialized knowledge required to deliver your value at the quality demanded by your aim. Every great fortune is based on the exchange of definite, superior value for money. Establish a hard deadline. Set a definite date, a firm deadline, when you intend to possess the outcome you desire. This prevents aimless drifting and forces the urgency your past mistakes have now made necessary. A goal without a deadline is merely a wish. The deadline creates the pressure required for prompt decision and persistent action. This time limit impresses upon your subconscious mind the necessary urgency to achieve your command. The date must be treated as sacred. Its presence forces you to organize time and talent efficiently. Create a practical plan. Immediately create an initial, concrete plan for carrying out your desire. And begin at once, even if you feel unready, even if you feel foolish. Do not wait for the perfect plan. Start the engine now. Refinement will come with action. A poor plan vigorously executed is far superior to a perfect plan you endlessly delay. The greatest risk now is inaction. The plan can be polished while the effort is underway. This plan represents the crystallization of your desire into action, overcoming the paralysis of analysis. Write and define. Write out a clear, concise statement of your aim, the time limit, what you give in return, and the plan for accumulation. This is not a scribble, it is a command written on paper. It gives your intangible desire a concrete material form that can be acted upon. This written command serves as a binding contract between your conscious mind and your subconscious executor. The written word ensures clarity and prevents the subtle sabotage of changing your mind in moments of doubt. Keep this written command where you can see it at least twice daily. It is your new constitution. The twice daily ritual of faith. Read your written statement aloud. Twice daily, once just before retiring, once upon arising. Crucially, as you read, see, and feel and believe yourself already in possession of the outcome. This is the critical final step. This act of mixing thought with emotion blends desire with faith, which I have observed to be the strongest and most productive of the emotions. This repeated act is the only way to influence the silent engine of your success. The emotionalized thought is the magnet that attracts the corresponding physical reality. Faith, the fourth step toward riches, is cultivated by this precise rhythmic autosuggestion. This conscious application of thought, emotion, and repetition is the deliberate process of conditioning the mind for success. I want to pause here. I am giving you a foundation that took me 25 years to extract from the minds of the world's most successful men. This is not casual theory. This is proven law. If this message is resonating, if you are feeling that necessary spark of urgency, then I ask you to join this collective mind. Subscribe to this channel now. We are a master mind in the making, and your active participation accelerates your own success. Do it now, and let us continue this instruction in power. Weaponize the past, autosuggestion, and controlled environment. The core reason your 20s felt like a destructive mental loop was the hidden engine of that loop, your subconscious mind. The subconscious mind accepts and acts upon any command you impress upon it, regardless of whether that command is positive or negative, destructive or constructive. The man who failed his 20s spent a decade unintentionally feeding his subconscious mind commands of indecision, debt, low expectation, and fear. He commanded his own failure through unchallenged thought. This powerful mental engine operates 24 hours a day, executing the instructions it is most frequently given. It is the storehouse of all sense impressions and, crucially, the coordinating center for all your mental and physical actions. This tireless part of your mind cannot distinguish between constructive reality and consciously enforced suggestion. Now, you will harness that same power and force it to build success. The principle is autosuggestion, the agency by which you reach and influence your subconscious mind, ensuring it is fed only positive, constructive thoughts, what I term money consciousness. It is the only door to that immense power, allowing the conscious mind to communicate its desires to the silent, tireless worker within. The subconscious mind will produce results that harmonize with the material equivalent of your dominant thoughts, good or bad. Your goal is to fill the mind with the expectancy of wealth so completely that the subconscious can accept no other outcome. Your brain becomes magnetized with the dominating thoughts you hold. The wasted years were simply a reflection of a mind steeped in poverty, consciousness, and negative beliefs, often planted there by well-meaning but ill-informed friends and family. Your subconscious mind is a powerful magnet, and it will attract conditions, people, and resources that harmonize with your dominating thoughts. Like attracts like in the invisible realm of thought as surely as it does in the material world. The vibration of your mind dictates the nature of the opportunity it perceives and attracts. To change the pattern of your life, you must change the vibrations of your dominating thought. If you dwell on the debt of your past, the subconscious will attract circumstances that perpetuate that debt. You must command it to focus on the wealth of your future. If you are to rise, you must master this magnet. Look at Henry Ford. When he commanded his engineers to produce the Veidt engine, casting 8 cylinders in a single block, they replied, "It is impossible." But Ford refused to allow the word impossible or the thought of failure to dominate the environment. He simply said, "Produce it anyway." And the engineers, working under the pressure of his unwavering belief and command, eventually found the solution. Ford's success was not a matter of luck. It was a matter of controlled thought dominating the environment and the action of others. He knew that the environment must yield to the man who holds an absolute belief. The persistence of the command eventually overcame the accumulated weight of specialized negative knowledge. Ford understood that the word impossible is merely the limiting definition imposed by the unconcentrated mind. Ford's faith became a physical force that reorganized the knowledge of his entire team. You must follow the same path, and it begins with a relentless control of your internal and external environment. Action steps: mind control and immunity, immediate environmental audit. Recognize that you are, in this moment, a product of your environment. Identify and eliminate the 3 immediate sources of mental negative influence: indecision, doubt, and fear. This is not a light exercise. It means cutting off or severely limiting association with those who are constantly negative, who mock ambition, or who indulge in the devil's workshop of meaningless gossip, which I call susceptibility to negative influences. The man who has wasted time does not have the time to waste on negative minds, for they will poison your new desire. Protecting your mind from casual negativity is as vital as protecting your body from disease. If you find yourself draining your ambition with a certain company, the fault lies with your continued presence, not their nature. Your personal environment must be surgically sterilized of all discouraging influences, whether they come from a friend or a newspaper. Cull the critics, fear of criticism. You must close your mind tightly against discouraging influences, especially the negative suggestions of relatives, friends, and acquaintances. The fear of criticism is what often stops people who feel behind from setting high goals and trying new things. They fear being told, "You are too old to start that," or "You should have done that 10 years ago." Recognize their words for what they are, the sound of their own lack of belief, not yours. Your new path will attract criticism precisely because it is extraordinary. The opinions of others who are not living the life you desire must be given the same value as noise in the street. You must become immune to the fear of what they say, for they rarely achieve anything noteworthy themselves. The man who fears criticism will never enjoy the freedom of action required for success. Apply the self-confidence formula. Use my written formula daily to consciously demand persistent action and develop self-confidence. Concentrate for 30 minutes daily upon the task of thinking of the person you intend to become, creating a clear mental picture of yourself, already in possession of your definite chief aim, moving with ease and power. This is the mental rehearsal for success. This deliberate concentration is the difference between daydreaming and directed thought, which possesses true magnetic power. This ritual is the conscious act of building faith into the fibers of your subconscious. This is how you consciously impose the trait of self-confidence until your subconscious accepts it as fundamental truth. Emotionalize the order. When reading your definite chief aim, Action step 6 from the first section. Ensure you mix deep emotion or feeling, faith, desire with your words. Plain, unemotional words do not influence the subconscious mind. They are merely sound. You must speak the words with the feeling of belief to bridge the gap between conscious thought, subconscious power. The language of the subconscious is emotion, not mere logic. Repeat your affirmations, not just with your lips, but with the full force of your heart and soul. Without the fusion of thought and emotion, the suggestion is merely temporary. With it, the command is final and irreversible. Build a wall of willpower. Put your willpower into constant use until it builds a wall of immunity against negative influences in your own mind. Keep your mind busy with a definite purpose backed by a definite plan. An idle mind is the first step back toward the chaos of your 20s. Your past failures were a product of an uncontrolled mind. Your future success must be a product of a mastered mind. You must become the guardian of your own mental treasury. Willpower is the tool that seals the subconscious mind against suggestions of failure. Through this constant exercise, you develop the habit of controlling your thoughts and directing your destiny. The habit of sustained, directed willpower is the final guarantee against relapse into your old, destructive patterns. Remember, the failure of the past decade was not necessarily a failure of effort. It was a failure of mental command. You spent your time obeying the negative suggestions of your environment and the fears in your own mind. Now, you use the principle of autosuggestion to give yourself a new set of orders. You are changing the magnet. The blueprint of second chances. Organized action. You have the desire and you have taken command of your mind. Now you must act. If you feel you lack a clear map for your 30s, it is only because you were attempting to draw the map before discovering the terrain. The man who has spent a decade failing has discovered what does not work. Your past failures are not debt. They are hard-won data points for your definitive plan. That is your advantage. You have the benefit of failure analysis already complete. The lessons of a chaotic past are the most expensive and therefore the most valuable. You possess an inventory of what not to do, a priceless asset for any builder. The man who learns from one mistake has saved himself from repeating it 10 times. The world rewards not effort alone, but organized planning driven by prompt decision. My accurate analysis of 25,000 failures showed that lack of decision was near the head of the list of major causes of failure. Indecision and procrastination are twin brothers. The person who failed their 20s, delayed reaching decisions, or changed them quickly. Successful people reach decisions promptly and change them slowly. They carry the wisdom of the past into the certainty of the present moment. Promptness of decision is the hallmark of leadership and the refusal to drift. The ability to quickly and firmly fix your mind on a course is worth a king's ransom in this economy. The man who cannot make a firm decision cannot compel the universe to cooperate with him. The man who delays action is the man who serves the man who acts. You can no longer afford the paralysis of indecision. Every hour spent in indecision is a vote cast for mediocrity. The decision to act is often more important than the action itself. Prompt action is the most direct application of willpower to your aim. Consider the example of Dr. Gonzalez. For 2 years, he thought and hoped for the $1 million needed to start his college. He spoke of his need. He held vague plans. He wished. Nothing happened. But when he finally reached a definite decision, the bold declaration, "I will get this money within a week, and here is my plan," the resources appeared almost immediately, within 36 hours, because the definite decision had created the necessary framework for action and cooperation. The decision itself was the catalyst that brought the material world into alignment with the mental command. The power lay not in the need, but in the decision to meet the need. He activated the principle of the master mind simply by expressing his definite need backed by definite resolution. His 2 years of wishing produced nothing. 36 hours of definite decision produced $1 million. The mind must have a clear target and a clear process. Your desire is the target. Your plan is the process. Action steps. Immediate action and refined blueprints. Kill the twins. Decision over procrastination. You must start where you stand and work with whatever tools you have at your command. Reach decisions promptly on your course of action, no matter how small, and hold those decisions firmly. Do not wait for the time to be just right. There is no perfect time. There is only the time you create. Delay is often rooted in the fear of making a mistake, but making a mistake is better than stagnation. A temporary setback from a bad decision is corrected far faster than the paralysis of having made no decision at all. The man of decision never looks back. He only looks forward to the next plan. Treat every pending task, no matter how small, with the immediate command of decision. Reduce plans to writing. Transformation of desire into reality calls for a concrete plan, and these plans must be formed with the aid of the imagination, the workshop of the mind. You must reduce this plan to writing, as this gives concrete form to the intangible desire. Writing solidifies the thought and prepares the path for the subconscious mind to execute the plan. An idea that exists only in the mind lacks the vitality and persistence of a written document. Do not confuse mental wandering with organized planning. The latter must be concrete, specific, and visible. Your written plan serves as the final, irrevocable instruction sheet for your entire mastermind alliance, the failure loop strategy. When you start acting, your initial plan will likely fail. You must accept this not as permanent failure, but as temporary defeat. Do not quit. Immediately assume that the plan, not your aim, was unsound. Use your imagination to create and organize a new, revised plan. This is the difference between failure and persistence. Failure is a result you accept. Temporary defeat is a result you analyze and overcome, much like a general adjusting his strategy after a skirmish. The ability to revise a plan without abandoning the goal is the essence of persistence. This flexibility of planning, married to an unbending aim, is a trait shared by all great industrialists. Failure contains the seed of equivalent success, but only if you immediately dissect and correct the flawed plan. Strategic silence. Make a definite decision to keep a closed mouth and open ears and eyes regarding your major purpose. If you talk about your plans too freely outside of your master mind, you may disclose them to those who will take delight in defeating you or who will plant seeds of doubt. Let your results do the speaking, not your intentions. Power is often best executed in silence. The energy you spend talking about your plans is energy you are not spending executing them. Talk is cheap. Action is the currency of the wealthy. The genuine leader reveals his intentions only to those who must assist in their realization. Focus on the goal. QQS. When visualizing your goals, see yourself rendering the service or delivering the merchandise you intend to give in return. This is the imaginative foundation for the QQS formula, quality, quantity, and spirit, which ensures you provide exceptional value, the only reliable source of enduring wealth. The value you provide must be clearly defined before the wealth can accumulate. Your plan must detail not just what you will take, but what value you will first produce for the world. The QQS principle is the invisible lever that lifts you from a mere wage earner to a commanding entrepreneur. Focusing on the service rendered strengthens the magnetic attraction of your desire, fulfilling the law of compensation. Indecision is the silent assassin of opportunity. Your past is a monument to what happens when you fail to decide. Your future must be a demonstration of the power of prompt, firm decision. This path is difficult. I ask you to share this message with one person who you know feels the crushing weight of time lost. Send this to them and tell them that it is not too late, but they must act now. The comeback engine. Persistence and specialized knowledge. You have decided, and you have a plan. But the world will test you. The single greatest advantage of starting late is knowing exactly how bad quitting feels. Your job now is to turn that scar, the pain of past failures, into unbreakable willpower. This sustained effort is necessary to induce faith itself. Persistence is the sustained effort necessary to induce faith. It is a state of mind which may be cultivated, not something you are born with. Lack of persistence is a weakness common to the majority of men, overcome only by the intensity of one's desire. The failure of your 20s was likely due to lack of persistence. You quit just before the gold was found. Persistence is to the mind what carbon is to steel, the hardening agent. It is the insurance policy against temporary defeat. Persistence is the final gatekeeper between a burning desire and its physical manifestation. The greatest fortunes are often just beyond the reach of the man who makes one last surrender. R. U. Darby's uncle quit digging 3 feet from a rich vein of gold because the pay dirt ran out. He assumed the gold was gone. A few feet more of digging, a few more hours of persistence, and he would have been a millionaire. This illustrates the universal habit of quitting due to temporary defeat. He traded a lifetime of fortune for a moment of impatience. His mistake was failing to consult others, his mastermind, and failing to believe that temporary defeat is merely nature's test of desire. He failed because his belief was based on what he could see, rather than the unseen forces of definite purpose and faith. You must contrast this with the story of Fanny Hurst, who received 36 rejection slips for her early stories. Most people would have quit after 3 or 5 or 10, but she persisted. She forced success because her desire was absolute and her willpower was unbreakable. She realized that every rejection was simply a data point telling her to adjust her plan or her technique, not her aim. Her persistence transformed external denial into internal fuel for improvement. She understood that setbacks are temporary taxes levied on the determined spirit. Every rejection notice was merely an opportunity to intensify the vibration of her desire. Your desire alone is not enough. You must build the habit of persistence. Action steps. Forging the habit of persistence and skill acquisition, the No-Quit Alliance. Develop the habit of persistence by ensuring you have these 4 simple elements in dollars. Place, which serve as the foundation of your comeback. A definite purpose backed by burning desire. A definite plan expressed in continuous action. A mind closed tightly against all negative influences. A friendly alliance master who will encourage you to follow through. Without all 4, persistence will eventually fail. The absence of any one pillar creates a fatal weakness in your resolve. This alliance provides the external moral support that shores up your willpower during periods of doubt. The combination of these 4 points creates an internal and external environment that forces continuous movement toward your goal. Acquire specialized knowledge strategically. Stop believing that knowledge is power. It is only potential power. It becomes power only when it is organized and directed toward a definite end. Decide exactly what specialized knowledge you require for your definite chief aim. If you cannot acquire it alone, plan to acquire it through the cooperation of others, the mastermind or consultants. The way of success is the way of continuous pursuit of knowledge specific to your aim. Do not waste time on general education. Focus your learning like a laser. You must know what you need to know and where to find it. The man who succeeds in his 30s must learn faster and more selectively than the man who started in his 20s. Your current effort must be dedicated to acquiring or organizing the specific knowledge needed to realize your definite aim. This strategic acquisition of knowledge is the fastest way to compensate for the years you spent drifting. QQS as a habit. Make the QQS formula your habit. Consistently deliver the maximum quality and quantity of service in a proper spirit of cooperation. The spirit ensures agreeable, harmonious conduct, which attracts opportunity and cooperation and is the key to commanding higher pay and enduring success. Do more than you are paid for it is the surest way to force a raise in compensation. This surplus service is an investment that always pays compound interest in influence and wealth. This principle is the foundation of a pleasing personality and the reason why others will seek to cooperate with you. The delivery of QQS service turns temporary employment into a permanent opportunity. Embrace the late start advantage. The setbacks you experienced, the financial struggle, the unemployment, the poverty, are, in my view, the richest experience if you use them to force your spirit into action and develop persistence. Do not mistake temporary defeat for failure. Failure is a man-made concept. Temporary defeat is a law of nature, meant to test your desire. You now know the darkness, which gives you a unique drive toward the light. The man who has been burned by poverty fights with a ferocity the comfortable man can never muster. The man who knows the pain of quitting is armed with the memory necessary to refuse it forever. Leverage the clear, painful memory of scarcity to ensure every action is deliberate and efficient. The person who quits, who throws in the towel, is merely notifying the world that their desire was weak. The man who persists is telling the world, I am here to stay, and I will force success. Your past failures have given you the wisdom to recognize when the temporary defeat is about to break you. Now, you use that wisdom to push through. The power multiplier, mastermind, cooperation, and fear mastery. You believe you lack the specialized knowledge or influential connections of those who started early? You do not need to be smart enough. You just need to be smart enough to connect. The mastermind is your instant access network, your knowledge multiplier, and your greatest power source. It is the 10th step toward riches. It is the collective mental bank you can draw from without having made all the deposits yourself. The mastermind is the means by which you achieve power through organized, cooperative effort. This alliance is the economical replacement for the specialized knowledge you did not acquire in your 20s. Power is defined as organized and intelligently directed knowledge. Organized effort is produced through the coordination of two or more people working toward a definite end in a spirit of harmony. Your mastermind alliance is the single most vital tool for the late starter who feels isolated and underqualified. This alliance is how you rapidly close the experience gap, utilizing the brains and experience of others as if they were your own. Two minds operating in harmony generate a third, invisible force, a mental energy that is more powerful than the sum of the parts. This third force is the creative energy necessary to solve problems that cannot be solved by individual effort alone. This spiritual energy is the source of all great discoveries and inventions. Look at Andrew Carnegie. He made himself fabulously rich, not through his own specialized knowledge of steel, but by organizing a mastermind group of men who possessed the specialized knowledge he lacked. He achieved massive power through the principle of cooperation. He built an empire by focusing his thoughts and directing the expertise of others. He knew that the sum total of the group's knowledge and effort far exceeds the capabilities of any single individual. Carnegie's genius was not in what he knew, but in his ability to organize the knowledge of others. He leveraged the knowledge capital of many, which is infinitely superior to the labor of one. The men in his mastermind were attracted not by money, but by the power generated by Carnegie's definite aim and enthusiasm. Your mastermind is a source of knowledge and a source of morale. It is the place where you can share your plans without the fear of criticism. But for the mastermind to work, you must first master the primary block to cooperation and success, fear. Your 20s were likely sabotaged by one of the 6 basic fears. These fears are insidious because they are nothing but ghosts existing only in your mind. The most common are the fear of poverty and the fear of criticism. Until you eliminate these internal roadblocks, no external alliance will save you. Fear is the greatest destroyer of personal initiative. Fear is simply a lack of faith in your ability to apply the principles of achievement. Fear paralyzes the imagination and destroys the capacity for definite decision-making, cooperative effort impossible. Fear is the chief weapon of the devil, used to hold men in the prison of indecision and inaction. Action steps, building power and eliminating blocks. Organize your mastermind alliance. Ally yourself with a group of people needed to execute your plan. This may be 2 people, 3, or more. The successful leader leads by encouraging, understanding, and exhibiting the proper spirit of cooperation. Crucial rule: you must maintain perfect harmony with every member. Failure to do so guarantees failure. Discord is the death of the master mind, wasting both time and energy. The collective power requires absolute, unwavering harmony among its members. Define what each member will contribute, knowledge, capital, time, and what reward they will receive. The agreement must be formal and based on mutual respect and service, ensuring enduring cooperation. Use the mastermind for knowledge. Utilize the diverse specialized knowledge within your mastermind group to overcome the handicap of limited personal education. You do not need to know everything, but you must know who knows what you need. This is the difference between true leadership and misplaced personal vanity. Acknowledge the superior knowledge of others without surrendering your right to command. Your job as the leader is to coordinate the knowledge, not possess all of it. The leader of a mastermind must be adept at assimilating and organizing the specialized knowledge possessed by his allies. Initiate invisible counsel. If you feel isolated or lack clarity, practice conducting imaginary council meetings with historical figures or successful mentors, for example, Ford, Lincoln, Carnegie, whose qualities you wish to acquire. Impress these characteristics upon your subconscious mind. This stimulates receptive thought and fills the void left by a lack of real-world connections, allowing you to borrow the wisdom of the ages. This exercise sharpens the faculty of creative imagination, which is the direct conduit to infinite intelligence. The habit of consulting your invisible cabinet helps you assimilate the traits of successful men. This daily practice provides guidance and inspiration by tapping into the accumulated wisdom of the centuries. Conquer the ghosts of fear. Identify which of the 6 basic fears hold you back. For example, fear of poverty, fear of criticism. Write them down, analyze their source, and then realize they are illusions. The only control they have over you is the one you grant them. Cast them out by replacing them with the thought of your definite chief aim. Fear is only a state of mind, and your mind is your own to command. The antidote to fear is always a definite, sustained purpose. Do not merely suppress fear. Replace it with the definite belief in your power to achieve your aim. Every day, destroy any fear thought by immediately contrasting it with your definite, written aim and deadline. Master your destiny, the only control. You have the power to influence, direct, and eventually control your environment by controlling your own thoughts. Exercise your willpower to protect yourself against negative influences and make your life what you want it to be, rather than casting yourself upon the sea of circumstance. The man who wins is the man who thinks he can, and the mastermind provides the fuel for that powerful thinking. The control of your own thoughts is the only control you can ever exercise with absolute authority. When you truly control your thoughts, you command the circumstances of your life. The final act of mastery is to realize that your mental factory is entirely under your command. You decide what thoughts enter and what materializes from them. Ask yourself now, if you are reading this, how old are you? What is the definite chief aim you will commit to now? And what is the one thing, the fear or the toxic person you must eliminate to begin? Comment below. Your public declaration is an act of decision and a commitment to action. The final law, the advantage of wisdom. The chaotic choices of your 20s, the debt, the wasted effort, the impulsive decisions were a fundamental failure of self-control. The great advantage of age is that you now possess the maturity to impose deliberate discipline, turning that wild, impulsive energy into poise, accuracy, and lasting personal power. You have paid for the wisdom to know better. You have seen firsthand the devastating effects of the failure to delay gratification. This hard-won wisdom is the final discipline required for true financial independence. Self-control is the 11th principle of success, the mastery of the habits that determine your ultimate destiny. Self-control is the balance wheel with which you control your enthusiasm and direct it where you wish it to carry you. To be well balanced requires equalizing enthusiasm and self-control. The chaotic energy of your 20s can now be channeled into calmness of purpose, poise, and accuracy of judgment, which comes from self-mastery. Enthusiasm without control is recklessness. Control without enthusiasm is stagnation. Self-control ensures that your powerful desire is directed by wisdom, not runaway impulse. The chaotic man is ruled by circumstance and impulse. The self-controlled man is the master of circumstance. He does not react. He commands. The mastery of self is the only prerequisite for the mastery of circumstance. This poise under pressure attracts respect and cooperation, where panic attracts only chaos. The person who can control his tongue and his temper instantly projects an air of authority and competence. Even when dealing with complex systems, whether in business or in nature, self-control is the most important of the laws of success. The mind must be disciplined before it can direct the efforts of others or the flow of fortune. A lack of control over one's own habits and temper is a visible weakness to the outside world, inviting betrayal and defeat. No man can command others until he has learned to command himself. The lack of self-control is what causes men to fail repeatedly, always confusing their temporary emotions for eternal truth. Action steps: cultivating self-mastery. Master the distasteful task. Form the habit of each day doing the most distasteful tasks first. This difficult procedure builds mental discipline that carries over into all other areas, ensuring you act promptly on decisions and overcome procrastination. Do the difficult thing now, not later. This daily victory over self is the foundation of all true power. You must discipline yourself to do the thing you should do when you should do it, whether you like it or not. This practice is the mental equivalent of lifting weights. It strengthens the muscle of your willpower. By conquering the difficult task early, you establish a victorious psychological momentum for the rest of your day. Control emotional leakage. A person with well-developed self-control does not indulge in hatred, envy, or jealousy, as these are fatal to action and destroy the desire to achieve. These negative emotions burn up the vital mental energy needed for creation. If you find yourself becoming angry or bitter about your past, write it out of your system, get the emotion on the page, but do not speak it to anyone. The greatest speech you will ever regret is the one spoken in anger. Emotional outbursts are a tax levied by your subconscious mind for a lack of self-control. Poisonous thoughts consume more energy than physical labor. Stop the leakage immediately. Every time you successfully convert a negative impulse into silence, you bank a reserve of mental power. Budget your time and income. The habit of indiscriminate spending or aimless drifting is a failure of self-control. Form the habit of systematic saving, even if it is only a small amount. Money in the bank gives you a safe foundation of courage when bargaining for services, combating the fear of poverty. Equally important, budget your time to ensure all effort is directed toward your definite chief aim. Time is your most precious, unrecoverable asset, and you must treat it as such. Systematic planning of time is the first step toward efficient action. Every hour must be accounted for, and every expenditure of energy must align with your definite purpose. The man who cannot account for his hours will never command his years. Assume the virtue to develop a pleasing personality which attracts cooperation and opens doors. Consciously act as if you already possess the desirable traits of the person you intend to become. Develop a positive character through self-control, and learn to express yourself with force and conviction. Remember, what you are speaks so loudly that what you claim to be is not heard. The inner discipline must radiate outward as poise and genuine sincerity to attract the right mastermind partners. A pleasing personality is the social magnet that draws opportunities and allies to your cause. Cultivate the habit of being cheerful, sincere, and genuinely interested in the well-being of others. Form desirable habits. Remember that force and enthusiasm must be put into expressions when forming a new habit. Your desired result, placed in the conscious mind, must be held there faithfully and persistently until habit gives it permanent form. Your new habits are not chains. They are the framework of your freedom, built on the solid rock of self-mastery. Repetition, backed by emotional belief, is the only agency by which habits, good or bad, are built and fixed. Your daily rituals determine your destiny. Ensure your rituals command wealth, not poverty. The law of cosmic habit force dictates that repeated actions become permanent, setting your destiny in stone. Make sure that stone is the foundation of an empire. The chaotic choices of your 20s have served their purpose. They have taught you the steep price of indiscipline. That wisdom is the final law and the greatest advantage you now possess. Use it to impose self-control and watch your life bend to your command. I have given you the blueprint for every fortune built from nothing. I have shown you how Barnes leveraged desire, how Ford commanded belief, and how Carnegie multiplied power through cooperation. You are not starting from scratch. You are starting from experience. The core message remains. You are not too late, but you do not have time to waste. You have the tools: desire, faith, autosuggestion, organized planning, decision, persistence, and the master mind. Your past mistakes are now the raw materials. Your future is a creation of your disciplined thought. Go forth and share this knowledge with one person you know who feels behind, who feels the sting of wasted time. Send this to them and tell them this channel walks with them. This is your beginning. This is your freedom. Now command it.